Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How is everybody? Welcome to the latest episode of Roll Around, Find Out. Today, I'd like to talk about probably my favorite tabletop role-playing game out there, Mothership. I don't remember exactly how I stumbled across Mothership. It was probably Drive-Thru RPG, but I mean, it doesn't really matter, but the second I saw it, I knew this game is basically perfect. So, Mothership, let me pull it up on Drive-Thru RPG here, is about to come out with their first edition box set, which they are almost exactly 1 year late on delivering it from their Kickstarter. Which is definitely a bummer. It was maybe even my first Kickstarter that I ever pledged for, and I bought the $100 box set. Basically, nothing crazy, but give me one of everything that they're making. And at the time, I had the Player's Survival Guide, that they call it, the Player's Handbook. And that was the only book that they had out, except for a couple of pamphlet modules, which were new to me also. And I've got all of my Mothership here. I own tons of Mothership stuff, but luckily so much of it is free either on itch.io or Drive-Thru RPG. A lot of it I've paid for. Some of it, other stuff has been Kickstarter stuff, but man, Mothership almost checks all the boxes for me. If you've listened to any of my other podcasts, you know the first thing I'm going to say, it's a roll under system. Not only is it a roll under system, it's a roll under D100. I did a review on Bare Bones Fantasy, which I also loved. I think I said in there, if I was going to write a RPG, Bare Bones Fantasy is probably what I would write. So, right off the bat, I relate to that. To me, that just makes so much sense. I can go on, and I will go on and on, but I should start with the designers, Sean McCoy and Alan Girding. So it says here, created by Sean McCoy, the Player's Survival Guide. And where is Alan Girding? Okay, it says special thanks to Alan Girding. So I'm probably going to get these facts incorrect, but from what I know, Alan Girding is the founder of Tuesday Night Games, and him and Sean have worked together on a couple of projects. Again, probably getting my facts wrong, but Sean McCoy is this is basically his idea, and Alan Girding, think of it like Sean McCoy is the director and Alan Girding is the producer. That's my understanding of it. And Sean McCoy, I'm not big on social media, but Discord and Twitter, I mean, he's out there, and to me, it's just amazing. You want to get a hold of him, he's readily available. I've tweeted maybe one or two things at him, and he's gotten back with me, and I'm a nobody. So I just love that. The way his layout is, I'm almost positive Questing Beast or Ben Milton did a review on Mothership. Maybe that's how I came across it. Was either... Yeah, that had to have been it. It was either Ben Milton's review or Matt Colville did I think a Running the Game or another one of his series, and it featured Mothership and the module Dead Planet on there, and I think that's where I checked it out, now that I'm thinking about it. And instantly checked it out, and Ben Milton said it, I'm repeating it, it is just the most efficient and creative use of space on anything I've ever seen. And as much as there is to Mothership here, you know, it's a whole player's handbook on all of the rules, and, you know, they get rid of feet, and it's just basically like close, kind of far, and far. I'm getting those wrong, but on the here, okay. I'm stammering because I'm so excited. I just could talk Mothership all day. On the back cover of Mothership are all of the rules. There's 3, 6, 9, 10 boxes. Everything you need to know is on the back cover, which is just amazing. There's stat checks, saves, panic checks, skills, advantage, disadvantage, criticals, how combat works, violence, it has damage and wounds, armor and cover, death, and then at the very bottom is the range. You're either adjacent, it can touch you, close, it's about 15 to 30 feet, long range, and extreme long range. Okay, let me calm down. Sorry, right? I'm excited about this. So there's already tons of content out there. Mothership is successful for a reason. When I, got into D&D not that long ago during COVID and finally wanted to expand out, I was new to OSR and Kickstarter and all of these things. I often think, man, how many sweet Kickstarters did I miss out on? And then they're lost in the ether of TTRPGs, and I just don't know what is out there, what's amazing, etc. So the stars just aligned for me and Mothership. So I'm going to pull up their Kickstarter here, and I would say like a successful TTRPG module rule system, a successful one is $50,000. Obviously everybody has their own goals. Some people are happy with, $2,000. And I've got the Kickstarter here for Mothership pulled up, and it made $1.4 million. So obviously it struck a chord with many, many people, and maybe their marketing was spot on and whatever, but at the end of the day, you don't get to $1.4 million on Kickstarter for a tabletop role-playing game if you're not squared away, if your game, your module, whatever, isn't awesome. And Tuesday Night Games, I think they had a couple Kickstarters before, so they could tap into, they have a system where if you've bought something from a seller before, if they start something new, they'll send you an email. But, it's basically, we'll use the term homebrew, just, home-baked, home-cooked, two guys in their basement cooking up this idea. And to get to $1.4 million, that's just amazing. It says 15,699 people. Just amazing. So looking through here, I'm getting just more and more excited. I should have mentioned, Mothership is a sci-fi horror game. They really emphasize the horror. For other labels, it's definitely in the OSR world because they're not superheroes. You are literally just your average Joe with average abilities. And yes, you get skills, and yes, you can level up, but the likelihood of you dying is pretty high. So, going through this Kickstarter here, really excited. I think I was reading a pamphlet and I put it in a different spot, which is a bummer. But this box set has the Player's Survival Guide, the Warden's Operation Manual, which is basically like the Dungeon Master's Guide. They have unconfirmed contact reports, which everything's black and white except this one. This one's color, and the unconfirmed contacts is more or less the monster manual. However, the way it's kind of worded is, if you run across one of these things, you're not probably living to tell anybody about it. So these are all framed in, what sketchy video we can find, or based on audio recordings, etc. This is what little we know of these characters. But essentially the monster manual, and then it comes with a fourth book, which could definitely be wrong, but I think it was a stretch goal. The Ship Breakers Toolkit. And I've only run Mothership twice, the same module 2 times, and I've not had the opportunity to work with ships on any extensive level, but they've got, 24 ships in here of all different sorts. An exploration vehicle, a jump liner, a corvette. So I'll read corvette here. Corvette, a true warship and the most common escort vehicle you'll see in a flotilla. The corvette is a deadly predator in open space and carries heavy weaponry, 2 fighters, and a dropship for planetary insertion. Frequently upgraded by criminals for unmatched speed or firepower, the corvette is the first real warship you'll come across. And then it's got a sketch of it. It's got a breakdown of all the different parts. They all have stats. How fast is it? What are their weapons like? There's a salvage ship, a freighter, and so on and so on. So, 4 just amazing resources. Another module I don't have. The one I ran twice, got it in a different spot, which is a bummer, is a trifold pamphlet, which I had no idea what a trifold pamphlet was. As you can imagine, it's a trifold, a landscape piece of paper folded in thirds with information in all 6 columns, 3 in the front, 3 in the back. And to run a one-shot, that is like the perfect amount of space. Again, I don't think Sean McCoy wrote the one I ran, which is The Haunting of Ipsilon 14. But if you're going to start somewhere with Mothership, go get the rules, okay? And I got drive-through up here. I'm going to load up Mothership. Last time I checked, it was pay what you want. Still is. I don't know if this is the first edition. Okay, well, it says right here. This is the beta release. And the major thing they changed was combat. And I have to run it more to become more familiar with it. So from what I remember, the beta system was, it was very much D&D standard role-playing game. You've got hit points, you get down to 0 hit points, and you die. Well, now, I'll read it off the back cover here. Damage and wounds. Whenever a character takes damage, reduce health by that amount. If health is reduced to 0, gain a wound and roll on the wounds table. Now, wounds are kind of, sort of like your lives if you were playing like a video game character. You use a set of wounds, and then when one category of wounds depletes, then you roll on the wounds table, and then you've got another pool of wounds to go through. And most characters have, I think, 2 sets of wounds, but some have 3. And let's see if I can pull up who that is and why. It's been so long since I cracked this open, but at least once a week I'm searching Mothership content on here. Who gets an extra wound? Okay, so here are your classes in D&D, and per usual for all of my game reviews, we're going to make a character, and I think the going time is 12 minutes, and I'm almost positive Mothership's going to be way under that. Okay, your classes are a Marine, an Android, a Scientist, and a Teamster. So if I had to liken these to D&D characters, a Marine would be your fighter. They get an extra wound, which I was kind of sort of talking about. Then there's an Android. They also get a wound, and sort of, kind of, like a Paladin, kind of. There's no religion related, but I personally think the Paladin, maybe Barb, are the tankiest of characters. And so an Android, they have definitely an additional wound. They have a really high fear save, which we'll get into. Yep, okay. And then there's a Scientist, which I love a non-combat themed character. I mentioned in my Bare Bones Fantasy the not Negotiator, well, it was a non-combat oriented character, something like a Negotiator or Scholar. I think Scholar is what it was. And I just thought, man, that's awesome, because role-playing games are so combat focused at times. What do these characters do? And so, you know, they become a liability to your party, and that's just awesome. And then there's a Teamster, which is a sort of kind of do-it-all character, which I don't necessarily know a one-for-one comparison for D&D. A Teamster, like maybe an Eldritch Knight or Arcane Trickster. Is that a rogue? You know, rogues are kind of good at everything with their skills. Yep. Okay. So, what else can I say? I've got the player's guide in front of me here. So it's a roll under system. D100, which I mentioned. To begin the game, you roll on a loadout table, which again makes character creation super fast. For their for fleshing out a character, obviously, you know, you're more than welcome to come up with your own backstory. But if you're running a one-shot here, they have what are called trinkets and patches. And I'll read here. It says, trinket, may it bring you good luck out there in the void, or at least give you something to talk about on your next shore leave. And these trinkets, just reading a couple here, there's a calendar with alien pinup art. There's a titanium toothpick, dog tags, which is an heirloom. There is fuzzy handcuffs, stress balls, spray paint, a ukulele, opera glasses, harmonica. The goal of these trinkets are for the players to find an opportunity to mold that into their character. Well, why do I have a harmonica? Oh, well, I spent, many months alone on a frigate and taught myself how to play. Reminds me of my grandpa who taught me. You think of the reason. Okay? And then there are patches on your vac suit or whatever, and these are meant to be similar, but more of like an outward-facing thing. When people see you for the first time, they're just meeting you, they'll see your patch and get a gist of who you are. So, just randomly reading here, there's a red shirt logo, which, if you're a Star Trek fan, you know what that is. A flame emoji, a patch that says FUBAR, powered by coffee, meat bag, I am not a robot, good boy, princess, I am my brother's keeper. This one's good. Mama tried. So, certainly welcome to pick during character creation, but I think the random D100 are good. Okay, there are all sorts of items that you can go and buy. First aid kits, batteries, jetpacks, lockpick sets, med scanner. You can have pets. There's synthetic pets and organic pets. That's awesome. For weapons, we're talking some pretty heavy-duty stuff. There's pulse rifles, smart rifle, combat shotguns. Then there are industrial equipment. So if you're like a teamster and you're not a Marine, maybe you know how to use a gun. Think of it like modern day. Maybe you got Grandpa's rifle hanging over the fireplace. But for industrial equipment, can you modify it to use it in combat? There's a hand welder, nail gun, rigging gun, a foam gun. Awesome. For armor, there are different levels. We've got advanced battle dress, a hazard suit, vac suit, standard crew attire, and standard battle dress. And how these work is they have armor points and armor reduction. So the advanced battle dress here reduces damage by 3. But it also has armor points. And how armor points work is... Let me get a character sheet here. Where do they have a spot for it? Yeah, they do armor points. Okay. I want to get this right, but I'm almost positive I know how this works. So I'll explain it, and then if I'm wrong, I'll go back and re-explain, but I'm 99% sure your armor points, so let's look at a vac suit, has armor points of 3. If you take 1 point of damage, your armor soaks it up. If you take 2 points of damage, your armor soaks it up. If you take 3 points, it soaks it up. But if you take 4 points, your armor breaks. Maybe your vac suit gets a tear in it. Or maybe it just huge slash through it. Something happens and you no longer have armor for defensive purpose. I'm not sure if your armor point is 3 if it breaks at 3 or if it has to be over 3. I'm also not sure if it's cumulative. If it's 1 point of damage and then you take 2 points, are you done? But I'm pretty sure you have to be over. So, okay, actually, here we go. Here's armor. Characters ignore all damage less than their armor points. However, if they ever take damage greater than or equal, there we go, to their AP in one hit, their armor is destroyed and they suffer any remaining damage. Weapons with anti-armor ignore and destroy armor whenever they are hit. Some armor may have a damage reduction, which always reduces incoming damage by the amount stated. Even if the armor is destroyed or if the weapon has anti-armor, damage reduction occurs first. Oh, awesome. Okay. Death. It just happens to be right in this page, so here we go. If your death seems imminent, make your last moments count. Save someone's life, solve an important mystery, give the others time to escape. When you die, the warden makes a death save by placing 1d10 in a cup, shaking the cup, and placing it face down on the table, covering the die. As soon as someone spends a turn checking your vitals, the die is revealed and the roll is looked up on the death table below. Use common sense. Okay? I have not read that in the first edition. That's not how it was in the beta. So if it's a 0, you are unconscious, you wake up in 2d10 minutes. Reduce your maximum health by 1d5. If it's a 1 or a 2, you are unconscious and dying. You die in 1d5 rounds without intervention. If it's a 3 or a 4, you are comatose. Only extraordinary measures can return you to the waking world. 5 through 9, you have died. Roll up a new character. So 3 through 9, that is a 60% chance of you, or 70, let's see, math is hard. I think that's 70% chance of when you're at 0 hit points, you die. I was just playing D&D with my friends last weekend, and I was playing a sorcerer last campaign, and I went down every single battle. I'm a paladin. It's only me and one other player and one DM. But I think we've been in like 2 or 3 battles, or 3 or 4 battles, and 2 or 3 of them I've gone down, and I've never died. My character last campaign never died. I was either healed up or I made it on death saves, and I kind of know that, and so I'm riskier in my combat because the likelihood of me getting healed and popping right back up, per the rules, seems very likely. So here, 70% chance, and then a 20% chance of you're gonna die soon, and so you just have a 10% chance that you're just unconscious and you'll probably be fine. So 90% something bad's gonna happen to you, and per Mothership, I like that. Here's the wounds table that I talked about. And there are different categories. If you got blunt force, bleeding, gunshot, fire and explosive, or gore and massive, you roll, and it could be, here it says winded. You have disadvantage until you catch your breath. Okay? Or, as you can imagine, you make a death save here for the more severe ones. So let's say a gunshot. If you got a gunshot, and that brings you down a wound, you roll a 0, you got grazed, you're only knocked down. If you roll the 1, you're bleeding. Roll the 2, broken rib. 3, you have a fractured extremity, good for role playing. A 4, you are internal bleeding, which is bleeding plus 2. You have a 5, you have a lodged bullet and surgery is required. Roll a 6, gunshot wound to the neck, brutal. 7, major blood loss, bleeding plus 4. 8, sucking chest wound, bleeding plus 5. Or, unfortunately, if you had a wound and you rolled a 9, boom, headshot, make a death save. I wish I could find bleeding here, but I'm almost positive that is just more HP lost every round. Conditions. More on medical care, page 34. Okay, let's go check that out. Bleeding. Some weapons or wounds cause characters to bleed. This means they take 1 damage every round until the bleeding is stopped. This is cumulative. If a character is bleeding 1 damage per round and gains bleeding plus 1, they now take 2 damage per round. Bleeding damage ignores armor and damage reduction. So I was right on that. All right. Another sweet mechanic for Mothership that just makes it so much harder is they have their panic saves. Here's my one criticism of Mothership. There are 2 types of saves. Well, I lied. There's 3. There's body save, which is a combination of like constitution and dexterity for D&D. Dodge out of the way of a monster running at you. Dodge from an explosion. You drank poison, or you touch some sort of alien goo. Doesn't affect you. Roll your body save. But my one criticism is there is sanity save and a fear save. Now, I've read this enough to know I understand how this works, but for a new player, it's a little confusing, and mechanically speaking, I think it's a little clunky to have 2 different ones. And so, first let me read what a save is. In order to avoid certain dangers or trauma, you sometimes need to roll a 1d100 lower than your most relevant save. This is called a save. If you roll less than your save, you succeed. Otherwise, you fail and gain 1 stress. A roll of 90 to 99 is always a failure. Okay? You have 3 saves. Body, I already explained. And then here's sanity and fear. Sanity comes up first in the book, but I'm going to read fear first. It says, maintain a level head while struggling with fear, loneliness, depression, and other emotional surges. Then there's sanity. Rationalize logical inconsistencies in the universe. Make sense out of chaos. Detect illusions and mimicry, and cope with stress. You read that to a new player, they're not going to know what's going on. Now, with any new player, it's the DM's job, or as Mothership calls it, the warden. The warden's job to tell players what to do and trust that the warden's telling them the right thing. But me as a player, I would want to know why. And for a first time, I think that's just confusing. And so here's how I would change this, put it in more common sense terms. Body, easy. You're dodging an explosion, touched alien goo. Is your blood turning a different color, whatever. That makes sense to me. Fear is dealing with very human things. You're in space. You're all alone. You hear a noise. Fear. You are panicking. You're going to run out of food. Fear. You just heard your friend die on the radio. Fear. Then there's sanity. You see, you're exploring a planet, and you start to see visions of horrific events in your brain, of things you've never seen before. Well, that sounds... as I'm talking this out loud, here's maybe a way to say it. If you're trying to explain it to somebody, do you sound like you're crazy? Do you sound like you're insane? Then it's probably sanity. Spoiler alert. If you run The Haunting of Ypsilon 14, the only bad guy on there, well, that's a lie. No, there's 2. The main alien bad guy, as written, is invisible. When he enters the room with you, sound cannot exist. You could drop something and it wouldn't make a sound. Now, here's that line. Well, yeah, that's scary. So, is that fear? Well, I would say, to the point I just made, if you're trying to explain it to somebody and they think you sound crazy, it's probably sanity. And, I never ever claim to be the smartest person out there. So others that read this are probably like, Heath, you're dumb. This is so simple. It makes so much sense. It's great. Okay, well, it's just my 2 cents. I think at times there's a thin line between the difference between the two, and it's a little hard at times to explain. Now, let's say you land on a planet and it has fluctuating gravity. So you're walking and then all of a sudden you're floating in the atmosphere. You're floating up 5 feet, 10 feet, 20 feet, and then gravity shifts and you are, feeling, you weigh 200 pounds with all your gear, and all of a sudden you're feeling 800 pounds because gravity's 4 times as bad. And the stress of fluctuating gravity, is really taking a toll on you. Okay, well, what is that? Is it insane because you're not used to gravity fluctuating like that? Or is it fear because you don't know when it's going to change? Maybe, you're in the middle of combat and you're worried you're going to float away? Or is it body? Are you getting slammed to the ground every time gravity increases? So, all right, that's my rant. That's my one criticism of Mothership. Okay. I want to explore the first and third party materials out there for Mothership. It's got a huge following, and if I go, I'm on Drive Through RPG, Tuesday Night Games. Okay, here are the adventures and other things that they have written themselves. Some of these I've read cover to cover, some just skimmed, some I know nothing about. So, I think when Mothership first came out, there were, 2 supplements, I guess. There's one called A Pound of Flesh, and then Dead Planet. So, let me pop these open. A Pound of Flesh, my understanding, is sort of kind of like a setting guide. It says here, it's a toolkit for building your own run-down, backwater, black market space station built from the ground up for the Any award-winning Mothership. Forgot to mention that. If I haven't explained what Ennies are, they are awards for the tabletop role-playing space, and anybody can win, from nobody, Joe Schmo in your basement, to Wizards of the Coast. So it's got a space station here, generating your own, customizing characters with cyber mods, tons of brand new weapons, creatures, drugs, and anything else void-faring criminals would want to get their hands on. I've skimmed through it, but I have yet to need this for anything, so that's why I'm not super knowledgeable on it. Then there is Dead Planet, which is currently on sale now for $8, 48 pages long. It says Dead Planet is the first module for Mothership. It has a 1-page adventure on a derelict ship called the Screaming on the Alexis. There's also a planet crawl of the Dead Planet with several locations, including the 5-level underground bunker, the Red Tower. It has an exploration of a ritual cannibalistic society trapped on the dead planet's moon in the Moon Colony Bloodbath, generator for making your own derelict ships, and a bunch of other D100 tables like Nightmares, Colonists, and Hyperdrive Malfunction table. Again, I have yet to have a need for that, so just casually skimmed it, but definitely Dead Planet is another home run Sean McCoy masterpiece. The way it's just laid out is phenomenal. One that I have read cover to cover and listened to Let's Plays on YouTube is Gradient Descent. This one is also on sale for $8. Cannot recommend this enough. You enter a synthetics or a android making facility called Cloudbank Synthetics, and it is about a spoiler alert for all of this. It is a android making factory, and the head android, called the Monarch, or just Monarch, is trying to produce, is producing like the most futuristic technological gadgets, gizmos, and androids out there. And there's the company that owns it, I think Cloudbank Synthetics, is monitoring this station known as the Deep, and they're trying to salvage it here and there, but they also are trying to keep it in check. They don't want the Monarch to get out, and if they do, they're going to blow it up. And so you are hired to go in and infiltrate, bring out goods, sell them, etc. And I don't know if I mean, spoiler alert, I guess, yeah. So the deeper you get into the Deep, where the Monarch is, you find out that they've been taking scans of you, and eventually you're going to come across a synthetic that looks just like you. And I should have done a better job here talking about the difference between panic and sanity. Because if you fail your saves, well, here, let me go over that now, I guess. If you fail your saves, then you've got real problems. If you fail a save, you panic. And so cool how this works out. So it's a roll under system. However, if you panic, you have to roll a d20, and I'll read it right here. Roll a d20 and attempt to roll greater than your current stress. If you roll less than or equal to your current stress, you fail, and you look up on the result on the panic table. Now, they changed that for the first edition, and I would like to go back myself and double check why they did that, why they couldn't have you roll under. I guess because your stress is growing, so you get less and less room at the top. I mean, that's probably it. So, but if you fail and you roll a 1, it's called an adrenaline rush. You get advantage on all your rolls for the next D2 10 minutes, and you reduce your stress. So, kind of imagine it like you get a little butt pucker. Like, oh, hey, time to wake up. And makes you more aware, more attuned of your situation. Like, oh man, whatever happened, I got lucky, and I'm not going to get lucky again, so tighten up. And then there's a growing list of just ever increasingly worse things that happen to you. You will be a coward, you get nightmares, loss of confidence, you're haunted, you have a death wish, you go into a rage, you're spiraling, and then lastly, if you roll a 20, it says you retire. Roll up a new character to play. Now, I know that Mothership went through some editing, and even though it is a horror game, they did try to use friendlier words. I'd love to go back and check to see what the beta version 0 edition was. I doubt it said retire. It probably said you died, you were killed, something like that. But now it just says retire. Okay, back to Gradient Descent. Eventually, your characters are getting scanned, and the Monarch is learning all about you. And you get to a point where you come across your exact clones. And from what I remember, they have all of your memories as well. And so then you have to roll sanity because you're not sure if you are the real person or if the other person that you stumbled across is the real you. You as a character lose out on reality. So there's certainly much more to that, but Gradient Descent is labeled a mega dungeon, and it definitely is. It is a massive, massive game. I could see running it for a year easy, and just one of many reasons why I love role-playing games. You know, the creativity, being with friends, great. But granted, it's on sale right now, but for $8 on 64 pages of paper, print that double-sided, you're at 32 pages, $8. Let's just say you play 1 hour a week. Okay? That's 52 hours of entertainment for $8. Amazing. Tabletop role-playing games are just so awesome. Okay, those are the main Tuesday night game things I want to talk about. With the box set, I was reading. Oh, you know what? I actually have it. I have it right over here. Nope, that was a lie. It is someplace else. I was just reading it, but I don't have it down here. But the box set does come with a starting adventure called Another Bug Hunt. And on YouTube, if you search Another Bug Hunt, there is a hour and a half long video, I would guess, of Alan Girding, Sean McCoy, and another person, a woman who I don't remember, but she's great. And they run through the first, like I said, hour and a half of Another Bug Hunt, and it's phenomenal. They land on a planet, things instantly go sideways. They try to enter some research facility, and it's, destroyed. So they're already up Poops Creek without a paddle. Okay. But then, let's go around. I've got literal piles here of Mothership material. One weird one, I don't know what to think of it. It's probably their lowest rating or least rated one. This one is an official Tuesday Night Games, but I want to talk about it. It's another pamphlet adventure called Hideo's World. And it says here, genius inventor Hideo Kieslowski has been trapped in his own virtual slick world for more than a decade, and now his once glorious abandoned dreamland is crumbling. Can you rescue Hideo before his perma-sleep begins perma-death? And you kind of enter this, video game world. This was probably inspired by the game Second Life. I mean, I've not thought of that in a long time. And now Facebook's kind of got their version of it. I don't remember what that's called. But this one seemed weird to me. I don't know if I'd ever be able to run it or find people interested in that kind of story. Okay, let's go back to all Mothership, not just Tuesday Night Games. So, lots of different languages out there. There are a couple things you can buy on Amazon. They have what's called Fear Factory 5, Mirror Image. Here's a... let me get it out. Here's a Kickstarter that I backed, which I'm just a little disappointed. It's called Scrap Rats, and it's got a nice hardcover book, but it came kind of already falling apart a little bit. But this is all about you being a scrapper and all the things that you find. Let's see, how many pages is this? I'm not really explaining this one well. It's about 50 pages, and there's a special process to this where before you even decide your class of Marine, Teamster, etc., you're a scrapper. Think of it sort of kind of like a funnel where you start out at level 0. It's kind of like that. The art in here is awesome. But I think I overpaid for that. I don't think I got my bang for my buck on that one. Okay. One, if I have it here, I know I have it in a binder. It's got the coolest art I've ever seen, called Dying on Hard Light Station. And the art is like an astronaut in his suit, kind of sort of like just sketched out, all in red, but like it sort of kind of initially looks like a astronaut, but then you see it's a skull, and the way it's being pulled out is just so brutal. It is one of the most metal things I've ever seen. I've gotten enough Mothership material that I just scrolling through here. There's so many things that while I still check it out, if it costs money, I'm probably not going to buy it. There's just no way I'll run it all. Now, don't get me wrong. I have things that I buy only to read. I know I'm never going to run it, but I just try to learn from it. But here I just stumbled across this, which remind me, I've not Googled him or YouTube searched him, but I've listened to a couple things about him, and he is like the Mothership prophet, we'll say. I'm sure Tuesday Night Games wants to work with him, hook him up, but Ian Usum, Kickstarter that just came in, called Hull Breach, and this is 230-ish pages of just materials to pull from. Right here it says how to use this book. And Hull Breach is an anthology. It contains 26 sci-fi horror articles ready to plug into your ongoing Mothership campaign with expanded and supplementary materials, or run as a standalone adventure. It is a campaign setting. In the appendix and hooks integrated into each article outline a sector of space dominated by the Publico megacorporation and arm you with tools to effortlessly run a campaign therein. There's warden advice. There's factions. Just so much. I've just casually been looking at pages here and there because I'm not running a Mothership campaign. All this great material is just going to waste. And my understanding, Ian Usum compiled all of this. However, he has written many adventures, and so I'm going to click his name here. He's got one called Meat Grinder. He's got This one I need to buy. I don't know why I don't own it. It's called Dinoplex Cataclysm, and it's basically Jurassic Park. I'm gonna buy it. He's got one Moonbase Blues, which I've read through, and I'm trying to find a good Let's Play of it. I've listened to a couple, but still, updated for first edition. I gotta re-download it. You wake up in this facility and quickly learn that things are out of whack. You're given a job or certain tasks to do, and if you do the tasks, you're fine. But as you explore out, you come across rooms where people are obsessed with the color blue, and I have forgotten and or didn't get to the point where you learn why that is. I think it has to do something with the moon and how the moon rotates around what you're on, but super creative. He's got this picket line tango, and I'll just read the brief description here. Let me click on it, actually. The people of mining colony Norton Outpost are addicted to murder. Slaughter kin over petty conflicts and bad habits. A union strike raises tensions to a boiling point. The true killer stalks unseen among protest signs and workers on the edge of chaos in Picket Line Tango. Okay. He's got this called The Drain, which is a funnel where you start with a bunch of characters and who's ever left becomes your main character for another campaign. I don't know if I have this one. From Nightmares. 2 pages. A cornucopia of bizarre and upsetting equipment, baubles, and curiosities found in the seedy depths of X-class stations or the rotting hulls of ghost ships, guaranteed to make your players say, "I hate that," or "No," and "F this." Super, super creative dude to put together this hull breach. It's $30. That must be for the PDF. Yep. And I want to say the hardcover book was $30 also. That might have been a Kickstarter special. Let me see if I can actually pull that up. Hull Breach Kickstarter. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Whatever I paid for it, I'd pay double. 1, to support him. 2, it's just an awesome, awesome thing. Okay, $45. So I was wrong. $45 plus shipping for Hull Breach. Worth every penny, if you ask me. Okay. What other thing? Adventures Mod. Okay, I'm going to go through all my physical ones here. I'm saving the best for last. There's one that just is going to be so good. Okay, here's one bad one. This one is produced by Tuesday Night Games, and I read through this, and I really did not understand why its purpose. It's called Piece by Piece, and it's about a doctor who kind of goes crazy on a lab. So it says here there's a curse. Anyone touching... Okay, this is why I thought it was... There's a curse. Anyone touching the screwdriver must pass a panic check or begin dismantling objects in the immediate area. First people, then technology. Once all major appliances in an area are dismantled, move to a new area. So I took this as like, what? A screwdriver is cursed and causing you to kill people? Seems a little to me. But different strokes for different folks. Check it out. A lot of these I've got just because they were free. One resource on itch.io, and it might even be on drive-thru, is called Rim-Bound Transmission. And this one's number 10. There might be more than that. But they are... you know what? I will reach out to this Stella Condry. I think it's one person. I'm kind of talking out of my butt on there, but super great free resources. Some of these rim-bound transmissions are resources. I think one is like a curse or a disease for androids. Some are trifold adventures. Some are just resources. I think one was weapons. Moonlight medicine. Yeah, rim-bound transmission. Another cool one is called Rogue Brood, and it's about cybernetic monkeys. You befriend one, and you try to make it out alive. Super cool. There was a little period of time there where a lot of people were creating ocean-themed ones, and that doesn't speak to me, but I have Alone in the Deep, which is a trifold adventure that takes place in the ocean. Okay, I'll plug myself here. Now I have an unsanctioned trifold adventure, which maybe I'll post in my Spotify comments, that I made, and it is called Doomed, and it is basically Doom-themed Mothership. It uses the beta rules, so I should probably update it for first edition. But it is meant for, I guess you would call it 1v1 or one player, one warden. Because like Doom, it is, one person trying to escape. So you could use this with more than one person. But it's got zombie men, shotgun guy, an imp, I don't know how you pronounce this, Keiko demon, and the Hell Baron. It's got all of the weapons for it that are in Doom. So let's see, what do I have here? It's been a while since I've looked over this. Here, I'll read what I wrote. After being court-martialed for insubordination, you find yourself stuck in the brig, ready to be sent back to Earth for incarceration. Suddenly, the power fluctuates, your cell door unlocks, and the guard is acting funny. You hear sounds of screams echo through the base, but disappear as quickly as they came. What the hell happened? Nothing human could have done all this. Can you figure it out? If you do, you might have wished you stayed in your cell. Alright, do I have... I'm disappointed in myself. Do I have the weapons here? I've got maps of the different buildings. I've got a map of the whole layout. There's a forklift, transport, mech suit loader you can use. There's a couple NPCs in here. There are audio tapes. More money, more problems. Well, shame on me. Why don't I have... I have the BFG. I should read this more. Okay, there's a combat shotgun. That must be from Motherships. I made this like 2 years ago. But I'll put that in the Spotify description so you can have a free trifold adventure. Alright, some non-trifolds. Here's Picket Line Tango. I have the Drain. Okay, this one was very popular. A lot of people talking about it. And there's a sequel to it, which I didn't buy. Again, I've got so much Mothership, I'll never need it. But this was called Desert Moon of Karth. And the front cover is super cool. It looks straight out of like a Western. Think of like... Clint Eastwood in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, but it's Han Solo with like a cybernetic arm. Just super cool. Space Western. Let's see. Is there a brief synopsis I can read here for this? Welcome to Karth. Karth is a tiny mesa-studded moon on the galaxy's far edge. A desolate and strange place filled with violent factions, dangers, and riches. Survival or salvation is optional, partner. This module doesn't provide every detail, but instead a solid framework for gaming. Without blank spots on a map, there could be no monsters scribbled in the periphery. With the player's interaction, the moon's tense situation still likely falls into chaos, but differently than described in What Happens If the Players Do Nothing. Right? Super popular. I've not checked out any Let's Plays or reviews on that one, but I know it's sold really well. And it has a sequel, like I said, and I think it has to do... It's kind of like Waterworld, if there's pirates and problems on the high seas, by Joel Hines. That's one that I should spend time reading through. One I did read through was called The Black Pyramid, and it's about an ancient race of people that figured out, I think, if not time travel, at least like interdimensional travel. And the players stumble across this pyramid, and they piece together this puzzle, and a super ancient race of people. I'm looking through here. It's got sarcophagus, so very Egyptian themed. Think of it like Stargate. Very Stargate themed story. Super cool. Let's see. I think, yeah, I got this one on Kickstarter. Abilities considered unnatural. Another Joel Hines one, the one that did Desert Moon of Karth. And when I got this one in, I'll say I was underwhelmed by it. It seems awesome, but for what I was hoping it didn't quite scratch my itch. It kind of has like Jedi in it. These people with unnatural powers. And in my first glance through, again, underwhelmed. Maybe in playing it would be awesome. So this one deserves a reread, but as of right now, I'm very on it. So Dying on Hardlight Station, which I just briefly talked about, had the coolest art on it. Another Kickstarter that came out was by the same company, but completely different, called The Cleaning of Prison Station Echo. And from what I know, you are in a prison, and you are, I think, criminals, and you become test subjects. Experiments are being done, and it's sort of kind of your job to escape the prison while all these experiments are happening. And I'm just slightly bummed out. I think I commented on their Kickstarter or something that said, oh yeah, loved the art on Dying Upon a Hardlight Station. And they said, oh yeah, if you'd like that, you'd love this. And no, the art does not do it for me. It's very, very cartoony. Like, I've never watched these shows, but kind of like Bob's Burgers. It just seems super basic and not at all what I was hoping for. And so that was a Kickstarter. I think I just got the PDF, so it was probably, like $10. And not that it was a waste of money, but for me, didn't scratch my itch. For you, might love it. Another big one, we'll wrap up talking about modules here in a second. Again, my fault, my error. I wasn't quite sure what I was getting. I just knew it was going to be awesome. Called Orbital Debris, Chronicles of a Junk Moon. And let me see if I can pull it up on Drive-Thru RPG. Let's see. Orbital Debris. Oops, spelled it wrong. Debris. There it is. Okay, it is $15. It has 5-star reviews for 10 reviews, and I'll read it here. Orbital Debris is a moon-spanning junkyard hex crawl. A sprawling, debris-collecting moon sporadically warps through space as its ancient core malfunctions. Centuries of troubled travel have left the moon a crumpled world of junk, housing the remnants of great wars, catastrophes, and the memories of countless civilizations. Explore 23 strange environments. Discover dangerous factions vying for power and control. Meet astonishing NPCs and learn incredible rumors. Unearth horrifying alien and technological threats, plus much more. It's created as a community collaboration between 13 authors and 5 artists and is just short of 100 pages. So, when I read this, when I was buying it, I thought it was going to be an anthology of different stories. But it is one big moon, I guess, with all these different areas. And I just need to get in the right mindset when I read this, I guess, because, let's see, did I mention in here it said a hex crawl? I'm trying to find a map here. It, to me, again, on first glance, just seemed very disjointed, and that could be because there were 13, yeah, here we go, that is hexes. There were 23 strange environments, and on this, was it a moon? Oh, yeah, moon spanning junkyard. Every hex just seemed like too different to be what's the word? Cohesive enough for like a complete adventure. I would definitely steal pieces from this for a homebrew campaign, but in and of itself, for a complete whole world, whole story, for me, initial impression, kind of dropped the ball on that. My 2 cents. Okay, one that just came out of Kickstarter. I've read it. I started reading it. I've got what would be like the alpha version. There's just a couple art pieces left, like art of NPCs and a couple things, but the layout is ready to rock, and it's called Time After Time. Let me go to Kickstarter here. This was made by Devlin K. Sorensen. Time After Time Kickstarter. This was a super late kickstart. In his updates, every update was like, hey, having mental struggles, which 100% in support of, but understanding of. Totally get it. But I want to see, can I find a date for when this was kicked off? Okay, risks and challenges. This was his 7th Kickstarter project and 4th year making zines, so he knows the basics. However, things can obviously go wrong. I could get sick with the plague. The U.S. domestic shipping network could collapse entirely. His printing company could run out of paper. Which, okay, but... Oh, just random noises coming out of my mouth. So let me go to the updates here. Let's go to the first update. Was February 5th, 2022. So, February 2022. We are way past February 2023. We are, so that would have been like a year and a half. But September 5th, okay, get off the tangent of that it was late. September 5th, you got the version 0.9 of Time After Time, and it's labeled a mind-bending adventure through time itself. And let me tell you, this is freaking awesome. It is very much laid out like a gradient descent. I just took cues, just ripped even like the font just right from it, and I'm totally fine with that. And think of like Back to the Future. Back to the Future is easily the best time travel movie series out there. Fight me, you'll lose. It's just the best. However, other time movies, they try to be cute and you end up just getting confused and there's plot holes with whatever. Well, in Time After Time, there was a research group that was messing with interdimensional travel. And I would rewrite this if I'm going to run it, because it just says like this company is working on interdimensional travel and then, just stumbles upon time travel. So just abandon all dimensional travel and shift to time travel. And right after they start researching it, people from the future start showing up saying, you gotta stop, you don't know what you're doing. And basically what happens is in 1 year, the space station here research facility just gets ripped to shreds in time. People go crazy, and they have a term here called fragging out. And if I can find it, basically what happens is if you run across yourself from the past or the future, your brain just basically can't understand what's happening, and you frag out. So I just was reading this yesterday. Okay, here we go. The here and now. I'll read this full thing. The simplest way to think about time travel is this. You can only affect the present. Anything forward in time, clockwise, is determined by what you do now. Anything backward in time, counterclockwise, is already set. If you want to change the past, you need to make the past your present. Time travel. By making the past your present, you change the future. If things from the future, objects, information, people, move counterclockwise, go back in time, they risk destroying the future they came from with a paradox. If a future object alters the present, that future object may never come to exist in the first place. When this happens, they begin to disappear, removing themselves from existence. We call this frag, or fragging out, and it can be very dangerous. So think about when Marty's mom falls in love with him or starts to have feelings for him. So he has to convince his will-be dad to beat Biff up and protect his will-be mom. I said mom earlier, but will-be mom. And he's got that picture where he's fading out. Well, that's this. You're fragging out. And so I had said paradox. I'll just read. There's two here. Bootstrap paradox, which you can Google. But then there's the grandparent paradox. And I'll read this. It's rather long. No, I'll just read the short version. When a crew member does anything at all related to a... Oh, no, I guess I have to. Sorry. Grandparent paradox. A Marine travels back in time to destroy a rival corporate factory using the aforementioned laser cutter. They rip through the factory, laser cutter in hand, but only after reaching the offices do they realize the factory's purpose, constructing laser cutters. The very same brand as their own. Suddenly, the laser cutter the Marine wields couldn't have been built because they destroyed the factory before the laser cutter itself was made. It's a paradox. When a crew member does anything at all related to a grandparent paradox, they gain one stress and make a panic check. When making panic checks based on grandparent paradoxes, replace the result of 20 on the panic table collapse with the following. So, it says collapse here, but in the book, in the player's guide, it said retire. It says time fragged. You're ripped out of existence. A paradox smoothed over. Give your sheet to the warden. So, you die. Continuing, it says, likewise, any objects or changes that result from grandparent paradoxes are erased and reset the more time passes. Generally, objects and NPCs last about 2d10 hours until they frag out. If a crew member themselves is caught in a grandparent paradox, they gain 1 stress and make a panic check. Check as above, and do so again every 10 minutes until the paradox is resolved or they frag out. If the crew creates a grandparent paradox, they can, quote, fix the paradox by coming up with a solution that preserves as much of the timeline as possible. In the case of the ruined factory, for example, the crew could find an aftermarket seller of brand name laser cutters, or could prove the original laser cutter is actually a third-party knockoff painted over. These grow radically more difficult to correct as the scope of the paradox increases, but it is possible. When this happens, it's no longer a paradox, just an odd bump in the road of personal chronology. So, I don't think I'm so excited about this one. I may have missed the main premise. There are 3 sets of time: the present, the past, and the future. And you are finding time devices that will send you either on purpose or accidentally forward and backwards in time. And the layout on here is so cool. The book is broken into thirds, and it's past, present, future. And so let me just get one example here. Okay. Take me a second to find these all here. So, all right. In the present time, I think, in the personnel wing, there's functioning gravity, functioning light, all doors labeled. There's industrial lighting. A first aid kit hangs next to the door of every room. Staff and enforcers act slightly more on edge than normal. Okay, I think that's present time. Then in the past, same thing, personnel wing says functional gravity, functioning light, wing labeled, door labels painted over, industrial lighting turned up almost painfully bright, empty first aid kits dangle, spattered with half-cleaned blood. Okay. And then let's go to the last one, personnel wing. Functioning gravity, functioning light, labels messily scraped off by hand, patchwork floors and walls, scrap welded onto metal, duct tape everywhere, improvised sandbags scattered about. So every room you're in has 3 versions based on where you are in the timeline. And I just can only imagine running this as a warden, but just seems awesome. Awesome. Okay. Another thing to talk about, I have not had a use to use this, let alone open it just to check it out in for a while, but Mothership has an app. And because I just love Mothership, I paid for it, but there is a free version. And I think the free version is totally functional. If you're just playing on like a one-shot, that's all you need. So, okay, I opened up the Mothership app and it says create your character. There's begin or randomize. So I'm going to just hit randomize. And, oh, what do you know? I've got a character. My name is Anis Balsamo, pronouns he, him. It gives me a little picture of him, gives me his stats, gives me his saves. He's a Marine. Well, what does that mean? It means I get a plus 10 to combat, plus 20 to my fear save, plus 10 for a body save, and a plus 1 wound. Gives me my health, tells me how many wounds I have, tells me my stress, my trauma response, which we'll get into, skills we'll get into, and then the trinkets I talked about. There's a faded green poker chip is my trinket. My patch is an all-seeing eye. That's impressive. For my random loadout, I have credits, a gun, battle dress, a dog, a leash, and a tennis ball. Alright, I want to click on one of these. I doubt it. No. Alright, I don't know what a Kano X9 is. That's probably a gun. Let me see if I can. Does it mention Kano X9 in the player manual? Marine Kano X9. I don't see that. Okay, interesting. So I don't know. This is just a real quick glance. I don't know what that means. Kano X9. Interesting. Okay. Well, it must have been a 6. Yeah, it must have rolled a 6 because on the first edition character, a loadout says fatigues and a combat shotgun with a dog, a leash, and a tennis ball. That's the only one with a dog, a leash, and a tennis ball. So, interesting. I wonder if I can reach out and let somebody know about that. Okay, but boom, I made a character right there. I'm gonna refresh it and randomize. Sure, enough. There we go. Got a little portrait, all new stats, also a Marine. Let me start it over. Let me see if I can get something other than a Marine. Randomize Android. Okay, perfect. So, but let's say I want to go old school and I want to make a character by hand. All right. Okay, here's all my pencils. I'm going to get a timer going. 12 minutes is the going time. That's how long it took to make a character in Knave, and how long it took to make a character in Bare Bones Fantasy. So this will be interesting. This is my gold standard for character sheets. Sean McCoy is just the GOAT. I'm going to use that term. He's the GOAT when it comes to TTRPG design. Alright. I'm going to use a dice roller online. Just go to Google, search roll dice. It's the best one out there. Don't use anything else. There's no reason to. I'm also going to put in a stopwatch. Okay. The beauty of this character sheet is it has arrows pointing everywhere, telling you do this, do that, do this next. It's great. The one little clunky part is you roll your stats and then you pick your class, which makes sense order-wise, but your class alters your stats. So as soon as you roll your stats, pick a class, you have to then go back and change some of your stats. So definitely do it in pencil. I don't know how to do that better. I guess maybe pick your class first, but your stats may determine what you want for your class. So just a minor point there. Okay, let me get a stopwatch started. 12 minutes. I'm hoping I can get this done in half that. 6 is my goal. Okay, here we go. Start. All right. It says roll 2d10 for each 2d10 plus 25 for each stat. Okay, so I've got 17 plus 25. So that would be 22, 32. Or 22, 42 for strength. Math is hard. Probably already got that wrong. Roll again. 13. So that is 38 for my speed. Intellect plus 15, 30, 40. And I'm almost positive they upped these stats since 0 edition. 12, so I'm at 37. Okay, now my saves. 2d10 plus 10. Alright, 15, we're at 25 for sanity. Fear is 23. And body is my lowest one yet at 17. Okay, select my class. Marine, Android, Scientist, or Teamster. Now, combat is my lowest stat. So what I like is I could be a Marine, which ups my combat, which makes me a more well-rounded character, or I could min-max, sort of, which would be strength is my highest, so none of these rely on strength. My next highest is intellect, so I could be a scientist, so I will do that. I will become a scientist. Oh, I forgot. I was so excited for stats, I forgot character name. So I'm going to be Roger Klotz. Yep, that's from Doug. Pronouns, he, him. Personal notes, I'll leave that blank for now. Okay, so I'm a scientist, so my intellect gets plus 10. So I have to go back, erase my 40, and make it 50. Plus 5 to 1 stat. Okay, well, I will, since I'm a scientist, I will up my speed from 38 to 43, so I can hopefully run from monsters better. Plus 3 to sanity save. Okay. Because I'm a scientist, I should be able to rationalize, find a scientific reason why, going back to my example before about gravity, why is it fluctuating? Well, I'm a scientist, so I can know that, oh, it has to deal with the moon's rotation or whatever. Alright, roll 1d10 plus 10 for my health. Alright, 1d10, of course, is a 1. Awesome. So 1d10 plus 10. So I am at 11 for my current health. My wounds, current is, okay, it says right next to it, you start at your maximum health with 0 wounds. Whenever your health falls below 0, you suffer a wound. Reset your health to its maximum minus any carryover damage. Okay, so I currently have 0 wounds. Stress says I need to have a minimum of 2. So I'm currently at 2. And interesting. I'm almost positive you... Okay, yeah. You start at 2. That's just a little confusing for me. Your minimum is 2. That's what you start at. Instead of minimum, it should say... Well, I guess I would like it to say starts at, but then that implies that you can go below 2, which they don't want you to. Okay, take note, we haven't talked about this, of your class's trauma response. When there's a Marine, that trauma response is when they fail a panic check. It says when you... well, I guess everyone's different. It says, Marine, whenever you panic, you fail your panic check, every close friendly player must make a fear save. Because, the guy with the gun's freaking out. We're freaking out. Okay, I'm the scientist, so it says, whenever I fail a sanity save, which is my highest, all close friendly players gain 1 stress. Alright? Jeez, the scientist can't figure out what's happening? We're screwed. Alright, it says roll for your equipment. Roll for your loadout, which is in page 7. So I'll go to page 7. And it's a D6. Nope, D10, sorry. And I'm a scientist. So I rolled a 6. I get scrubs, scalpel, automed, oxygen tank. Okay, it'll take me a while to write that down. Scalpel, scrubs, O2, and something else. Armor point was 1 on my scrubs. Okay, great. My trinket starts on page 8. Pencil in my mouth. Okay, let's roll 1. 86. Trucker cap, mesh, gray alien logo. Awesome. I went from like, oh, I'm a pretty serious scientist here. I'm here to research, but now I got a trucker hat. I'm like, I just barely passed med school. Like, you think I was gonna get hired at some fancy place, head doctor somewhere? No. I left a scalpel, or I left a cleaning cloth in a body once, and apparently that's a big deal. That's a big no-no, right? I left some gauze in somebody. All right, page 9 for my patch. One issue I've seen is where if your trinket and your patch are so different, it kind of clashes and it's a little weird. But you make it work, so I'm at 68. And that is travel to distant places, meet unusual things, get eaten. That's what my patch is. Travel to distant places, meet unusual things, get eaten. Alright. Yeah, so I like, the taste of flesh. Just, I'm cutting somebody up, just, oops, little skin, just, fry it up. Hey, he didn't need all that skin. It'll scab up and grow back. Alright, I'm Jeffrey Dahmer, the doctor. Yes, see? Amazing. I've got my character already. Okay, almost done. So, I am a scientist, which means for my skills, I haven't talked about this, there's trained, expert, and master. And I get a bonus to my stat that I then roll under. So, I am a scientist. I get 1 master skill and an expert and trained skill prerequisite. Bonus 1 trained skill. Okay. So I get 1 master skill and an expert and trained skill prerequisite. Okay, so I'll start with my master skill. I want to be, based on me being Jeffrey Dahmer, let's say exobiology. Yep, because I want to be trying some crispy alien skin. Which a prerequisite would be following my arrows backwards. Has to be pathology. They have some blanks here. So I don't see just regular biology. So I guess they have zoology, which not quite super happy with. Now in here, I know I'm eating in my time for reading a character, but I want to say it will tell me what all these skills do. So All right. Read about skills on page 22. Yep, okay. Zoology. The study of animal life. Okay, there's botany, chemistry. Alright, I'm going to write my own for biology. Okay. Love that you can do that. They have empty spots for that. Alright, bonus, I get 1 trained skill. Well, let's say I have botany. I have jerry rigging. I like that. If I read jerry rigging, or I think it's pronounced jury rigging. Let's see. Jury rigging, makeshift repair using only the tools and materials at hand. So, you know, all I have is a screwdriver. I don't have a scalpel. I'll slice him open. We're fine. Okay. And that is my character. There's stuff to level up and spots for conditions, but I don't have that. 12 minutes. Okay, well, I'm going to cut off 4 minutes of blabbing. That's probably too much. I'm going to say, oh, bummer. I'll say it was probably 3, but I'm going to say 2. We're down to 10 minutes. Okay. Took me 10 minutes with researching. Spent a lot of time because they didn't have a skill for biology. That was probably a good minute right there. But okay, 10 minutes. So of the 2 others, Knave, which I thought was a slam dunk 5 minutes, took 12. So on par, but very easy. And if you are the warden and you are explaining to your players what these mean, it's got spots for all of the skills for you to learn what they do. The roll under system, I'll talk till I'm blue in the face about how amazing that is. Here are your stats, and you just have to roll under. So strength is 42. You have a 42% chance to be successful at any task involving your strength. Just cannot get any simpler than that. So, Mothership. What else is there to say? I would love a sword and board, sword and sorcery hack of Mothership. I tried it for a little bit. The skill chart I love. Kind of reminds me of a lot of MMORPGs. Kind of Diablo-like. I think that is a super amazing way to level up, and I think fantasy campaigns need something like that. They are supposedly working on something called Father Fog. I think that was one of the things I tweeted out to Sean McCoy, like, hey, you know what? I know you're working on the Kickstarter still, but what future plans do you have? And I think there was a couple, but Father Fog is the one that I was interested in. So I would love to see roll under stats, classes, rules that fit on just the back cover. But instead of, grenades, give me daggers. Come up with spells. I think that would sell phenomenally well. Mothership is absolutely brilliant. If you are into the sci-fi horror, aliens, what other influences are there? Alien, Metroid, Event Horizon was one I was thinking of. Doom, Planet of the Apes, 2001 Space Odyssey, anything like that. Just super, super amazing. Tons and tons of resources out there. $1.4 million Kickstarter. I know there's competitors. There's, I think, Death in Space. Osprey Games has one with an astronaut face on it. Right when Mothership was getting big, Free League was coming out with Alien. And anything Free League makes, the production value is just top notch. From what I've researched, I don't really like the mechanics, the dice system for Free League games, but, you know, check that out. Mothership is definitely the OSR, the gritty, rules light take on that. And I was tripping over my words. I was so excited talking about Mothership. It is amazing. I wish I could run it more. I'd love to be a player, run a long-term campaign, and see if I can get a character to survive situations, crazy sci-fi horror situations, with limited resources. Just super awesome. So the rules: pay what you want, get them. Support the Kickstarter if you want, but I mean, at its core, get the rules, download. $2, The Haunting of Epsilon 14. Oh, almost forgot. Almost. I cannot thank enough. I want to make sure I get this right. On YouTube, it's not like, any award-winning, Oscar-winning performances, but it was just, it gave me so many cues of how to run The Haunting of Epsilon 14. I want to get the creators right. The Haunting of Epsilon 14. I've watched this one a dozen times, and I think it's Adventures in Lollygagging. If not, they are also good. The adventure continues. Oh, yeah. Okay, these guys need to get so much bigger than they are. I don't know all the details about them, but even their names. But so it's the video is called Mothership RPG: The Haunting of Epsilon 14 by The Adventure Continues. They only have 91 subscribers. This video only has, how can I show how many views it has? 42 comments. 6.9 thousand views. So I mean, I guess that's not terrible. I tweaked it. I don't need to go into the main details of it, but Mothership, check out Let's Plays online. They're all great. Learn how to play the system. Roll Under, amazing. I'll talk till I'm blue in the face. Mothership, check it out. See you next time. Later.